Hey guys, this is Meathead Mikkel from meatheadgaming.com, and today I'm going to be doing a video about how you can get somewhere between 1.5 to 2 billion XP per hour solo. And this is going to be a variation of the Crypt of the Ancients run that a lot of people have been doing, and I kind of molded my wizard to be able to do it. And I want to go over the skills first and how I'm actually going to be doing this and the concepts in general. So first things first, my buff damage with this build is going to be about 325k. My toughness is just above 950, close to a mil. And I'm using a combination of legacy and crafted gear. I'm not going to go through all the gear that I'm using. I will link my profile in the video description below, and I'll link my build in the description below as well, so you guys can check it out. But briefly, what you need to know is that I am using a legacy axe with lifesteal, and I am using AP on crit. I have 10 AP on crit here, and I have 10 AP on crit here. My total XP bonus is 2560, just about. That's with the Ruby Gem, the Hellfire Ring, obviously Torment 6, the community event buff, and just like 7 or 8% from my follower. And most importantly, it's with the Pools of Reflection bonus. And as I'm going to explain here in a minute, you want to make sure that you do not die, because this right here is responsible for you getting this 1.5 to 2 billion XP per hour. And you'll be able to keep doing it indefinitely. So let's talk about the build first. Basically, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be casting Blizzard Snowbound preemptively, and I'm using the rune that reduces the arcane power to 13 while I spam Frozen Orb. I'm not using a signature spell because I'm not really going to run out of AP before I burn the mobs down, and I don't care for the elites. Magic Weapon, Force Weapon just for damage. Familiar Spark Flint again for damage. Teleport Wormhole is what I'm going to be using to get away from the elites. This is kind of like your defensive skill, and it's going to be necessary, and you'll see why. Energy Armor, Pinpoint Barrier. I'm using this instead of Storm Armor, Power of the Storm, because the 35% armor increase is very, very significant, and the crit chance increase also helps out my damage. Now, as far as the passives go, this is where it gets interesting. I'm going to be using Cold Blooded, obviously, because I'm all cold. And I do actually have a Cold Bracer, 10% cold damage. That's the only other cold damage I have, but it doesn't show up in the character sheet. And I'm going to be using Blur for the additional toughness. And I'm going to be using Unstable Anomaly, even though at this toughness I haven't had to use it just yet, knock on wood. But this is kind of your insurance policy against losing your Pools of Reflection bonus. If you lose this, your XP per hour is going to drop significantly. So you want to keep this up at all times. And I have tested this without Blur, with Blur, but also using Glass Cannon as a passive. And if you can get somewhere around 900,000 to 1 million toughness with Glass Cannon, go for it. But otherwise, if I don't use Blur and I use this, I drop down to about 700k toughness, and that's just not enough. I do end up dying eventually. So these are very short runs. They're about a minute long, and you want to, the reason you kind of want this kind of toughness too is you want to maximize the amount of time you spend in the crits, because there's such short runs that you're going to be running, teleporting in, teleporting out, exiting the game, joining the game again. All that takes time, and if that takes too much time as compared to the amount of time you actually spend in the crypts killing monsters, then your XP per hour is going to suffer. And as you'll see, I can, to an extent, face tank elites with this toughness, my lifesteal, as long as I spam Blizzard and Arcane Orb. So we're going to jump right in. I'm going to show you guys, how much XP per hour this actually is. So we're starting out at, I'm going to say 302 million out of 614. And I'm going to time approximately 15 minutes of this. So for the next 15 minutes, I'm going to be talking and doing these runs. If you guys don't want to watch it, you can skip ahead a little bit. But I am going to be giving you some commentary and explaining some things that you may run into on the run. So, and the reason I want to do about 15 minutes worth of runs is because I want to show you a reasonable averaged amount of what you can expect, XP wise. So let's go ahead and I'm starting my stopwatch, and we're going to go. So this is kind of what I do. I just cast the Blizzard, and then I do this. I don't really need to do anything else. I should turn my volume down a little bit. And like you said, I'm just warming up. This is almost like a warm-up run for me. But this is basically how you do it. And you want to go around the entire area, so unless you see an elite on the outskirts, you want to keep doing this. You don't necessarily have to avoid the elites, you just don't kill them. So they're going to be down here. I am going to avoid them, because all that's down here is elites. So I'm going to go ahead and portal out. And usually what I do is I'll cast a Blizzard somewhere down here, and then I'll, portal out here with the game, and start the next game. And we are probably going to run into some, tricky situations here. That's kind of the nature of RNG. But like that run alone, I started at 302, I'm at 329. So I got a significant amount of XP. Like 27 mil or something XP just from that little run. And honestly, one thing that would actually increase the speed of these runs was if I had a faster computer and I could get in and out of the game faster. So the elites up there, if you guys missed it, just so it'll cause problems, I'm not going to go up there. I'm just going to check down here. See, this is a low density run. Nothing really down here. And that's why I'm going to be doing approximately 15 minutes of these, give or take a minute, so I can actually finish out whatever last run I'm on. And then I will calculate the XP, because you're going to have some runs where you're just going to have insane density, and other runs where you're not. And then you're going to have some runs where you run into elites, and maybe at the very beginning, and they kind of wreck your day, and the whole run just ends up crappy. So, and you never know what kind of run you're going to get. So here's an elite right here. And I would probably, I'm going to kind of lead them down here. So they start out here, and then I'm going to teleport away. And that really complicates the run, because there's a legendary that dropped. So normally I wouldn't go back. But in this run, I'm going to go back because there's a legendary on the ground. And I can't say no to that. So I successfully avoided the elites, but I gotta get my legendary. And here's a pool of reflection right here. And if you guys watched my pools of reflection stacking video, this is a very consistent way of getting pool stacks. And that's the other reason that I'm using the passive that basically a stable anomaly, the one that, if you die, you get 45% health. And I do run out of AP, I'm not going to say that I don't, but I want to get this, and I want to get out of here. And in this case, I'm actually going to just exit out here and teleport out. Sometimes I have to do that. I prefer not to, because there are a lot of times there are monsters out here too. It does slow down your run, but it is generally a safety net. Unless you get really unlucky and there's an elite right outside the gate, which has happened to me before. And I had to teleport to a completely different area than that. So things like this will happen. But that's why we're doing about 15 minutes of these runs, to see, to get an accurate number. And if I did an hour of these runs, then I would get an even more accurate number but I'm not going to do that because I don't want to put you guys through an hour. So there's actually an elite up there too. I'm not going to bother with him yet. He's going to find me down here anyway. So I'm just going to clear these mobs down here. And I do avoid them kind of as much as possible, but it's not really like, you know, a huge deal for me. Like, this is kind of bad. But I want to stick around and kill some of these guys because the XP is pretty good. So I'm just going to... Oh, that's not good. I'm going to pop a potion on this one. And I'm actually going to pop out. I don't always do that. Sometimes I just portal out. Because you don't really know what to expect on the outside of that door either. So if you can portal out safely, do that. And we're at about the 5.5 minute mark right now, so about a third of the way through. You know, and sometimes it seems, if you're doing these runs, it may seem like you're actually spending more time doing them than you are because of the sheer volume, or not volume, but the sheer amount of runs that you do. I mean, you got to do a lot of these runs because they're so short, but you're really not spending that much time doing them. So, and you're going to have a little bit of twitchy play, you know, just kind of depending on what kind of monsters you're going to be encountering. You know, you will run into dicey situations, and that's where you have to really just not panic. You know, that's what I talked about in my other solo video where I used teleport wormhole to do Act 1 farming and skipping elites. If you run into an elite, don't panic. That's when you die. You know, keep kind of plan it out. Realize that, you know, you're not... If you're playing at an appropriate tournament difficulty, you're not at risk of dying, you know, in one hit. You can take, you know, maybe a couple seconds worth of damage, and a couple seconds is enough to make an educated decision about what you want to do. So right here, I'm not really even that concerned. I just want to clear out the white mobs and then get out. You know, do that, and I'm going to teleport out here. And I should be able to pour it out. And, you know, I also prefer using the Templar because he will charge, especially, you know, if you're trying to get out, things like that. He'll heal you, and he will give you some AP per second. Once I get some better gear and optimize this run further, I might switch to Scoundrel for the extra crit chance, but Scoundrel isn't as good for crowd control and kind of, you know, defensive measures. So here's one right here, and this is Thunderstorm, so this is actually a really bad affix. So I'm going to lead him out here, and then I'm going to get away, as far away as possible, as quickly as possible. And they'll probably still follow me. I don't know if they will or not, but they might. Yep, they're still following me. So I'm going to have to really get my next pull, and this run's nasty, so I'm not going to continue this. It's not good. So this run right here, I'm not going to stick around for. I have no desire to stick around for this run. And there's an elite right there. Yep. So there you go. That's why you don't always necessarily want to go outside the door, because you might get 2 Thunderstorm elites back to back in a run. But you do want to play to the strengths of whatever class you're playing. And in this case, you know, Wizard has a lot of escape abilities when you combine things like teleport with slows like Blizzard. So if you know your class, then you should be able to do runs like this. I've seen Barbs do this kind of run very effectively, probably, you know, more efficiently than a Wizard can, unless completely gear out the Wizard properly. I don't know. I don't have that answer. But, you know, this is just one type of run, and unfortunately, from the testing that I've done so far, this has been the most efficient way to get XP. I don't know if it'll get nerfed. If they do nerf it, they'll probably just nerf the density, because that's really what makes this run great. It's the monster density, nothing else. But maybe they won't, because, you know, it's nothing too crazy. I mean, you have to optimize for it still. You know, not a lot of people can do what I'm doing. And there's another elite that's going to trail me to the end, so I'm going to pop out, cast Blizzard just in case, and exit the game. And some of these runs, unfortunately, are not as good as I'd like them to be. Maybe I'm being, you know, kind of a pussy about it and not sticking around as long as I need to, but I don't want to take any chances losing pools of reflection stacks. And we're at the 10-minute mark now, guys, so 5 more minutes, and then we'll see what XP we're at. We're actually at 467. We started at 302. So here's one right here. I'm gonna port past him and get my Frenzy Shrine. So I don't want to say that I can face tank these elites because I really can't, but I can take a little bit of hits. I don't have to completely, you know, run away from everything, because that would make these runs kind of suck. So let's see. So that was bad. Because it's both Thunderstorm. I've actually been getting kind of unlucky. I've had several Thunderstorm affix mobs here. And this is annoying too, because now I have to take these guys on. This is slowing down the run considerably. And I can't do anything about it because I can't really pop back in there, so I'm going to actually have to take out these mobs out here. Still XP, I mean, you know, still counts, but just annoying because I can't get out. You know, I'd really like to get out right here, but I can't. And I can't go back because I run into those boots. So I have to go all the way back here. And hopefully I'll be able to finally pour it out. So there we go. You are going to have runs over the course of time that completely go south. And there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to keep playing. And again, I'm not going to do an entire hour of this. Maybe at some point later I will and record it, just, you know, if people want me to provide further proof. But I think I'm doing enough runs in 15 minutes to kind of account for the different variables. And then some things like that. And even within 15 runs, you know, it's still not an exact science. I mean, I've done this where I've had about 10 runs or so that were great, and I had 10 runs that were just completely awful, so, you know, it's hard to say. So I can, with these white mobs, I can tank it for the most part. It's the elites that I have to watch out for. And, you know, I'm not using teleport because, like right now I'm not using teleport because I'm only going to use it as an escape measure to completely get out. Like, I don't want to get out yet, I want to kill these guys. So now though I need to get out because those pools, those poison enchanted pools are going to kill me, and they're probably going to kill me instantly. And not just kill me, but also kill me once the unstable anomaly pops. I'll get popped twice. That's happened before. And when I was rolling with less toughness, and then you lose your stacks. So we're at the 13.5 minute mark. Depending on how this run goes, and depending on how long I spend here, this may be the last one. We may do one more. And there is going to be still a lot of variance in this. You know, I'm just giving you guys an example based on my damage output and just what, you know, what I'm capable of doing with my gear level at this point. You may be better geared, you may not be as well geared. I'm not the world's best player, I think I'm decent, but I could definitely stand to improve my game. And I am going to use a teleport in this case. I don't know if that's the best decision or not, but kind of want to stick around a little bit and get some more of the white mobs, just because there's a lot of them here, and I don't feel like I need to necessarily leave right away. I can stick around for a little bit and take some of this damage. And so this is actually a pretty decent run. There's a lot of density. I'm not taking too much damage. And if you get runs like this, which is what you're kind of hoping for and why you want the toughness, then you can get a much higher XP per hour number. So I'm actually right on the edge of leveling, and we're at the 15 and a quarter minute mark. So that marks the end of this. So we're at 609 mil, and let's do some math here. So 609 minus 302 is 370 mil over 15 and a quarter, gives us 20 mil per minute, gives us 1.2 billion XP per hour. So it's a little bit on the lower side. These runs were optimal. That last run was actually pretty good, but I think this has definitely the potential to be a 1.5 to 2 bill per hour set of runs, and I may actually do another longer video where I prove that, because when I tested this on another 15 minutes worth of runs, I ended up at 1.7 billion XP per hour. So that's 500 mil per hour discrepancy, and I think part of that was because I had to pop out and kill some of those mobs outside before. So there's a big difference there, and I think if I did about 4 times as much testing, so a full hour run, then we get a better estimate. But either way, I mean, this is very, very fast leveling, and it's pretty harmless for the most part, if you have the right kind of toughness. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I look forward to testing this more, putting out another video where maybe I will do this for a whole hour just to see what a larger data set looks like. Because all there is really to do now is gain Paragon levels before ROS comes out. So thanks for watching, guys. This is Meathead Mikkel from meatheadgaming.com, and I'll see you guys soon.